Hello and welcome to Superpower Broadcasting. I'm Kevin Castley. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at an old video clip that was highlighted to me on Twitter recently, and it features Shahid Buttar, who is running against Nancy Pelosi right now, and this was him back in 2013 appearing on the notorious scumbag Abby Martin's program at the time called Breaking the Set, which was basically the program where we talk crap about America and then ignore any problems that fascist Russia has been doing. And if there are pro-Russian dictators out there, oh, well, they're just fighting for national self-determination and anti-imperialisms. And if something is going on with America, well, that's the evil, no good USA neocon ghouls. So that's the kind of joke that she is. This is Abby Martin, of course. Just a despicable person. She was a staunch Putin bootlegger for a long time, still is, of course. After Liz Wall left Russia Today over Putin's annexation of Crimea, Abby Martin stayed on and was a loyal comrade to the dear leader. She dusted the portraits and sang the praise like a champ. But then as time went on, of course, she decided that she wanted to try out licking the boots of other dictators. So, of course, she left RT to go and work for Telesur, which is the state TV of the thug Maduro in Venezuela. So she's a joke. She's a clown. She has... This is all the way back in the day, back in 2013, Shahid Buttar on her show, and he posted some cringe, bro. Absolute cringe. So I want to give you all a content warning now before we take a look at this. You know, trigger warning, whatever you want to call it, content warning. I want you to brace for cringe, because what we're about to see, it's just... Think of all of the isolationist pigeonry that we have right now on Twitter. Think of all the USA bad and all of the Putin good memes and the losers that we have on Twitter defending Assad and everything. Now I want you to remember and take a throwback to the slam poetry and all the woke poetry and stuff of the early to mid 2010s. And now I want you to combine both of those with the current context that this guy's running to unseat Nancy Pelosi. So kind of a big deal at this point. Now we're going to take a look. It's a few minutes, so I guess get some popcorn. Here we go.
The NSA breaks the law every day. Doesn't matter who you are or what you say. They monitor your phone calls and emails anyway. Corrupt Congress and courts, paving the way. Here's a lesson they want you to learn someday. Watch what you say. They spy on your mind, record your calls for posterity, commit daily executive crimes with impunity. They're the authorities here to keep us safe until inevitably the boot ends up on your face. It's the NSA versus the Constitution. We the people are the ones our agencies are abusing. We can force any agency to make a new choice when we build a movement by each raising our voice. Demands for private information misuse, gagging recipients of First Amendment views attached to the Patriot Act national rules. First, we lose the privacy that enables speech. Then we let our government expand its reach into your bank accounts, your medical records, your teacher's feedback, your ISP, your browsing history, mental seed bank, the library down the street if it were still open. The Bureau threatens democracy. I'm not joking. Our rights are in the scope. We are all on the rope. Poke at 3 letters, NGI. It stands for the next generation for the FBI. Deporting immigrants en masse with ICE, while we citizens pay an equal price. Less demand for housing, less tax revenue, crops rotting on the vine. What else do? We'll take the local cops' arrest data, give it to the feds, but take a look at what the FBI itself said. If we start with immigrants, that'll give the plan cred. It already led well beyond mass deportation. Instead, the Bureau has a file, a price on your head. Your fingerprints, your iris patterns, the sound of your voice, a national ID imposed without choice. There is blood on our Constitution. but check it out, it's still moist. See, it's the agencies versus the Constitution. We the people are the ones our government is abusing. We can force anybody to make a new choice when we build a movement by each raising our voice. Raiding the homes of peaceful activists, setting in motion predictable plot twists, arresting democracy to bind her wrist. This miseducation of a gullible nation shows the ruination of our country's creation. You can say be patient, but the Bill of Rights hastens to fall to pieces before our very eyes. Do everything you're told till you realize our rights got sold. Beware the 05. Into any group goes the FBI's eyes. Intelligence about legal behavior, the prize, panopticon, Stasi, informants every size, shape, and color. You're being watched by Big Brother right now. Every email, every call, before national security, our Constitution falls. The FBI's probably got informants walking your halls. It's the FBI versus the Constitution. We the people are the ones our agencies are abusing. We can force any government to make a new choice when we build a movement by each raising our voice. When we build a movement by each raising our voice. Back in the day during World War I, it was the FBI versus free speech holding the gun. Hard-fought constitutional rights on the run. The Palmer Raid's the first, but not the last one. Fast forward 40 years to the real Red Scare. McCarthy did a number, but the FBI was there. They were everywhere. They knew what you wore to bed. They prosecuted people for the thoughts in our heads. They tried to drive MLK to suicide. No one even knows why Brother Malcolm died. Fred Hampton killed in his own house inside. They even bombed Earth activist Judy Barry's car and lied, and those lies go all the way up the chain of command. The agencies lie to judges on the stand. The director, the head honcho, the man claims his lies were unplanned and that he didn't understand that it's the agencies versus the Constitution. We the people are the ones our government is abusing. We can force anybody to make a new choice when we build a movement by each raising our voice.
That right there was undiluted cringe. As I said, brace for impact. That was the worst elements of the Zoomerisms, the woke politics, blended with, of course, again, it's a 2013 clip, that early 2010s slam poetry, woke vibe, the hip vibe. Oh man, that was unbelievable. And of course, I wanted to play the full clip for you there. Because when I watched that the other day, I didn't see it at the time. I only saw this on Twitter recently. It was going around because, of course, as I said, this guy's running against Pelosi. And I saw this. And it was only about a 2-minute clip on Twitter. And I was like, what the hell did I just watch? And you look at that, and he has so many cliches. Oh, so many cliches. And it's so substanceless. And it's just filled to the brim with virtue signaling, phrases that sound good. Like, oh yeah, I questioned the agencies. And at one point he talked about something being moist. What a goofball. What a goofball. This guy's running against Pelosi right now. But of course, this is going to be a shorter stream. But I do want to get into some substance on this. Now, the actual rhetoric that he had there for his little rap, his cute little cringe rap, it was mostly vapid, just absolute, hippieisms and meaningless phrases that just, again, they sound good. I guess they make you feel good. Like, oh yeah, fight the system, fight the man. Here's the irony of that. He's not even doing this at like some slam poetry gathering of hipsters and hippies or something in like somewhere in the United States or whatever. No, he's literally on the set of an international branch of state TV for a far right, ultra conservative petrostate with KGB Marxist-Leninist characteristics. Talking about the surveillance state. Talking about how the FBI, man, the alphabet boys, they can read what you type in your emails, man. So we need to side with the Russians here to fight for our privacy. Because that's what the KGB, that's what Vladimir Putin cares so much about is privacy rights. You know, back in the day when Putin was operating as a KGB agent in East Germany in the 80s, what was he doing? He was just making sure that people had like privacy rights and stuff, right? It's not like he was like torturing people and forcing forced confessions and trying to shut down anybody that was voicing pro-democracy sentiments. No, he just cared about making sure that, you know, Americans had their constitutional freedoms and stuff, right? Yeah, that's the ticket. I mean, again, it would be cringy enough if this was at some woke slam poetry thing in 2013 in like Brooklyn or something, you know? It'd be cringy enough then, because then you'd be like, okay, that's fifth column. It's vapid. It's obvious virtue signaling, right? But at least you could say, well, he's in America. He's a useful idiot. But this guy, I mean, he's in there, set there. I'm pretty sure that was filmed in Moscow. I mean, it didn't say RT America. It said RT. Because, of course, RT has RT America, which they have offices in New York and Washington and stuff. This was just RT back in 2013. Pretty sure he went over with that girl there. I'm pretty sure they went over to Moscow to Abby's studio to do that. Where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the little thing with the hand drums and it's gonna sound really, you know, primitive and organic and I guess vegan and stuff. And we're gonna get soy tonight. And we're gonna talk about how the CIA is the bad guys and the FBI is the bad guys because, you know, look at what Edward Snowden and look at what Julian Assange said. So let's go over to fascist Russia and go on Putin's television channel and talk crap about America? Okay. I mean, clearly a lot of cognitive dissonance going on. Are these people paid Russian agents? No. No, they just simply miss the point that, oh, really, you're going to go and criticize American security apparatuses by going on the state television of Vladimir Putin, the KGB thug, the guy who makes America's surveillance state look like a kindergarten playground. I mean, again, wherever the hell else. If Edward Snowden were a Russian and he were trying to leak Russian security secrets to the world or whatever, to America, he never would have made it out of the country. They would have had him disappeared well before he even thought about doing it, right? So the fact that Snowden was able to get out and say the things he said is proof, therefore, that America actually isn't as severe a surveillance state as the Russians, because we never really hear anything about Russian whistleblowers. Why? Because they don't tend to have a very long life expectancy, if you catch my drift. They tend to have heart attacks as they're falling from their balconies. You know, they tend to accidentally commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head, right? That tends to be what happens to anybody who thinks about whistleblowing in Russia. Anybody who flirts with the idea of whistleblowing in Russia. I mean, hell, they kill people who don't even do anything wrong to Putin, just to set an example. They'll kill you for being gay. They'll torture you for being gay, right? For being suspected of being gay. Oh, but we need to go over there and we need to talk about how America's not woke and how America's not really progressive and stuff. And so let's go over to a far right petrostate. And it's not even so much that they're far right, because it's not like they're far right in the monarchistic sense of it. They're kind of Nazbully, kind of Duginist, kind of Eurasianist. They've got a lot of left-wing economic elements that are a holdover of the Soviet Union. Very oligarchical system. Very, very, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for here? A very anti-liberal state. I mean, again, these people probably hate liberals. They could probably call them like evil capitalists, neocon ghouls, that kind of stuff. But fascist Russia, not exactly this hotbed of freedom of expression and everything. You don't really see much of hippies coming out of Russia, right? What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. Again, it's a 4-minute clip. And you're watching this and you're like, okay, but I understand it's from 2013. But here's something that we can all agree on, regardless of what our political persuasions are. Slam poetry and that kind of hand drum rap that he just did there, regardless of the lyrics. Like, let's keep it real. He could have been saying some hawkish stuff about how like John Bolton's cool and stuff. It still would have been cringy. That is just not a mode of communication that has any semblance of not being soy to it. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. I remember back in high school. Again, this is going to be a pretty short stream. I've gone over, obviously the video, some of the substantive criticism of it, as well as just poke fun at this guy, clown on this guy, right? But I remember being back in high school, and I remember slam poetry was a thing, right? And I remember that, you got slam poetry clubs and stuff, and they're going to go out and they're going to have a competition and everything. And I used to write, I wrote some poems back when I was like a teenager and stuff. Some of them were pretty decent, if I do say so myself. But, with the slam poetry thing, it wasn't just that it was poetry. It wasn't just that it was poetry, which can be good. Like, there's good poetry out there. There's great poetry out there, right? It was a particular subset, a genre of poetry, which is, in a way, I would liken it to, and this might be a bit esoteric, depending. I know I studied Russian history a lot, Soviet history a lot, took a few classes and stuff, but there's a genre in Soviet literature called socialist realism. And it's basically the genre, it was the only allowed genre of literature for a long time in the Soviet Union. And without getting too complicated or anything about it, basically, it was the only permissible genre of fiction, of literature that you could have. So it's not like you're going to be writing romance novels or anything like that. The only thing that's permitted by the state is socialist realism. That's the only genre that you're allowed to write in. And if you want to do anything creative or whatnot, you have to make it socialist realist. You have to fit it within the confines of that. What's socialist realism? It's, let's say, for example, we've got a quota from the Central Committee and we have to meet it. So there's some guy or whatever in our working group and he's not as productive. So we go over to him and we teach him the ways that Stalin taught us so that we can meet the plans and the quota. And now we all become shock workers and temper the iron for the 5-year plan to make Comrade Stalin happy. And so that we can spread Bolshevism and communism. And then we all have a meal from the collective farms. And we all sing the praises of Comrade Stalin. That's every book. That's all of it. Like that right there is basically every aspect of socialist realist literature that was written in the Soviet Union for a long time. Like, we're talking decades. That's all that was allowed. It had to glorify the party. It had to it had to romanticize labor. It had to meet all these criteria of being politically correct with it, or criteria rather, right? It had to meet all these criteria of being politically correct within what the Bolsheviks wanted. So it was this very limited, confined, just box that you had to work in. And if you were creative and everything, and you didn't want to play within that box, you still had to play within the box. You just didn't have that much freedom. That was it. And anything else was a thought crime, essentially, right? Pretty Orwellian, right? Well, slam poetry, I mean, yeah, can this sound hyperbolic? Maybe, but I'm going to make a case here. We were never living in the Soviet Union. We weren't living in tyranny. Slam poetry came out of free societies. Let's just be clear. I'm not likening slam poetry to like the horrors of the Soviet Union or anything. I'm not. I'm just saying that in my experience, every time that I would check out the slam poetry stuff, or I would see slam poetry online, or I would talk to people that were in the slam poetry stuff, and we would go over stuff. Anytime that I would see a clip of the spoken word slam poetry, it would always fit within a very narrow genre of poetry, because there's so much that you could write about. There are so many great poems that are out there. Some of them are short. Some of them are literally epic. Right? I mean, and you're like, how did somebody write that? That is a masterpiece, right? This is beautiful. This is glorious. No, it's not within that. I mean, you got everything from epics and ballads, and you got Shakespeare. I mean, there's a lot to poetry. But slam poetry is a very specific means of communicating poetry. And again, the genres that I've seen, at least, it's almost always within a very limited scope of what's essentially woke political rhetoric. It all sounds like that. That 4-minute clip that I just played for you, yes, it was long. It was arduous. It was a it was a struggle, as KCA Randy says here. He says, and I will highlight the comment. He says that was a struggle just to get through that 4 minutes. However, you just saved yourself hundreds of hours of slam poetry and that kind of cringe rap, because that's all it is. It all sounds the same. It's all the same lyrics. It's all the same verses. It's all the same thematics. It's all the same, woke rhetoric. It's all the same anti-US government rhetoric. It's all the same we're bad rhetoric, the pigeonry. It all sounds the same. And so this is why I liken it to socialist realism. Now, it's different because the state isn't going to come and basically kill you, literally, if you step outside of that creative bound. But in a way, I mean, it is noteworthy that even in a free society, that genre almost exclusively tends, as if you might think, looking on the outside, wait, is somebody forcing all these people to basically make poems that sound the same? That's kind of weird, isn't it? What's up with that? Because at least in the Soviet Union, you didn't have a choice. You had to write within socialist realism. In a way, slam poetry turned out to be even more sad and even more cringe, because these people are doing it of their own volition. They have the freedom to step outside those constraints. It's not imposed from on high as it was in the Soviet Union. And they still all basically sound the same. Again, high school slam poetry stuff sounded exactly the same as Shaheed right there. It's the same stuff. It's the same lyrics. It's always, they might talk about the FBI here, or they might talk about, the corporations, or they may talk about, dumbing us down, all these buzzwords, but it's all woke, virtue signaling, vapid, just absolutely vapid, meaningless drivel. And it all falls within that very specific confine of progressive, anti-American, anti-system, or, as Penn Norton would say in Reese's recent video where he points out, anti-systemic, anti-neocon sort of rhetoric. Again, now I challenge you. I'm sure that there are slam poetry pieces that exist out there that aren't confined to this wokery. But I challenge you to find me one that isn't. Like, it's all in this very narrow genre of what's permissible. And so in that sense, it's like the new socialist realism. It's like woke realism. That's basically what it is. You have to write, you have to speak, you have to convey everything. It has to be deep. What they would say is like, oh yeah, it's very deep. This is very personal to me. It's a very deep poem. And it sounds just the same as everybody else's. Oh yeah, America bad, capitalism bad, system bad, man bad, white male bad. We're oppressed. Let's rise up, fight the man, that kind of stuff. Like, all the cliches. It's all cliches. Oh, but it's very deep. It's very deep to me personally, even though it sounds just the same as everybody else out here trying to be woke and display their virtue. Amazing, man. Amazing. Amazing. And they do it without a hint of irony, too. You're like, okay, but like this is basically a pantomime where we all sing the praise and we all dust the portraits of what the party is deemed permissible artistic expression. Except there's no party. There's literally no communist party telling these people you have to do this, and yet they all sound the same. It's as if it was made in East Germany. It all has the same words and everything. It's all America bad, McDonald's bad, Walmart bad. It's like, okay, but like, let's be creative for once. Amazing. Amazing. So that's my little rant there on slam poetry. Super cringe. Just all together. I mean, and yes, this is from 2013. This is an old thing, but I just wanted to throw this back because the Overton window of what's acceptable artistic thought and expression is still the same. I mean, if you look at a lot of the cringy and just disgust-inducing creative works that have come out in the wake of the recent riots, in the wake of, George Floyd's death. Again, it all sounds the same. It's vapid, it's substanceless, it's just, systemic. It's basically that old meme, systemic systems of institutional institutions. Vapid, meaningless, sometimes academic jargon that really doesn't have a meaning either. The most substance you're going to get out of it is just white male bad, straight male bad, America bad, Russia good, basically. Now, they don't really talk about Russia too much, but here you see right there, they didn't mention Russia at all in there. That's part of the problem, because as they're crap talking America, they're doing this on the state television of the far-right fascist petrol state that is, of course, fascist Russia, Putin, with, of course, KGB characteristics, Soviet characteristics, right? Amazing. Amazing. And yeah, it's an old clip, but again, this guy's running right now against Nancy Pelosi. He did that without a hint of irony. And you might say, I mean, hey man, we've all done cringy stuff 7 years ago. Give the man a break. I mean, he probably looks back on that and thinks it was pretty cringe, right? No, I doubt it. Dude's running as like the staunch Young Turks tier progressive who thinks that like Nancy Pelosi is too far right. Ugh. Oh man. Oh man. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the chat. Oh, we got Natalie Avalon right now. Okay. Welcome, Natalie. So I got your comment that you wrote on my recent 4th of July stream. I am going to respond to it. It was detailed and I appreciate it. So I will have, a reply to that for sure in the next day or so. I've just been very busy. But I do appreciate the detailed comment that you left me there. It was interesting to read through. Always great to find out about more Hawks out there. And I'm always down to talk with more Hawks, no doubt. So I got Henry right here. Hello, Henry. Thanks for coming on, or, being in the chat tonight. Natalie says, didn't certain artists hide anti-Soviet messaging in plain sight of their artwork? Yeah, well, it changed, especially after Stalin died. The bounds, the confines of socialist realism were loosened, but there was always still that sort of Damocles hanging over your head that the party could crack down at any moment. There's no guarantee that Khrushchev wasn't going to turn into another Stalin. There's no guarantee that Brezhnev wasn't just going to lay down the hammer, right? So you always took a risk in the Soviet Union flirting with that boundary. And it was a very, very strict boundary, right? Very limited. That was the only allowable genre. It was the official genre of literature. The only thing that you were allowed to read. And, every time I hear Vosh talk about how he doesn't like Harry Potter and he doesn't like any of these fiction things like the Hunger Games because they distract people from class consciousness, I immediately think back to how the Soviet Union banned any literature that wasn't socialist realism. And I'm like, okay, Killjoy, let's just ban everything that's fun so that we can all memorize the slogans of Marx and Engels and Trotsky and Lenin and Mao and Pol Pot and Castro. Oh, I know you probably don't like Pol Pot, Vosh, but you've defended Castro on numerous occasions, even though they're both murderous thugs. Kind of a double standard. Anyway, what else do we have here? Oh, we got Nicholas. He says, oh, they rap now. No, this is 7 years old. They've been rapping for a long time, and it's been cringe the whole time. Like, and the thing is, sure, this guy's he's an amateur. A lot of these people, they do like 1 or 2 raps, and then that's it. They're just having fun being a goofball, being a clown on Russian state TV, talking crap about America without a hint of irony. But there are some rappers that make this their career. They're big, they're prominent. Immortal Technique. He is probably the most prominent one that comes to mind. His rap, his lyrics, some of his lyrics are, not like this, but you look into the stuff that he thinks, I mean, the conspiracism, etc. Oh man, that guy basically sounds exactly like this guy. Except that guy, he puts out tracks that get millions of listens. So yeah. Systemic institutional structuralism. The fallen Rue. Yeah, the Rue has fallen. He's over on BitChute right now. So stuff is on BitChute. He's got his own site and everything else. I was livid. I was absolutely livid when he got banned. Is it because I'm like some super fan of AIU? No, no. Like I said, I took a 4-year break from watching him. I watched him a bit in 2016, casually here and there. Took a break for 4 years, super busy with school and everything. And then as these riots started again, I got recommended an AIU video. I go and watch it. I'm like, oh, interesting. So yeah, he's got a decent take on this. Oh wow, I can see he's going to be in a lot of controversy over this. But what he's saying sounds, for the most part, pretty reasonable. Sure, he's edgy, like he's super edgy. I get that, right? Like I said, like I'm not the biggest fan of him or anything. I'm not even really much of a fan. I'm somebody that watches his content again as of like the last month or so. And then YouTube goes and bans him. You don't have to be a fan to be outraged that YouTube banned somebody. The fact that YouTube banned him without a warning, without any explanation, anything like that, the fact that we just have it so that YouTube is this monopoly. They're the only viable social media platform right now like this, where content creators upload content and can gain a following and stuff like that. Obviously, BitChute and all these alternatives, DLive, all those things are a thing, except they're very limited. The scope of their reach is it's almost inconsequential. It's just it's vanishingly small compared to what YouTube has accrued. How did YouTube even accrue that massive monopolistic standing now? By basically allowing people to make content like that was engaging, that people enjoyed. And now that they feel big and immune and invincible, now they feel that they can just ban and do away with those who made YouTube big in the first place. So this isn't about AIU. This isn't about Richard Spencer. I do not like Richard Spencer. But if you go and start banning those guys, pretty soon you can see how they can come for the hot community. You can see how they can come from everyone. They can come for everyone who doesn't fit that woke progressive narrative. And if you think that narrative only applies to like racial issues, think again, because those people hate the hot gang. Those people hate the idea of interventionism. Those people unironically watch Russia Today. Those people are fans of Tanky Tulsi Gabbard. They're fans of Jimmy Dore. They're fans of Kremlin Kyle. Those people do not like us. They can easily, now that the Nazis and stuff, and now that anybody who was edgy about race and stuff is banned from YouTube, well, who's left? Now who's on the chopping block? Well, this channel, we're kind of controversial. People don't really like war. War doesn't feel good. War bad, right? I'll bring up the June meme. We're basically next. They're going to come for the Hawks and the neocons because we say things that make people uncomfortable. Because everybody would like to just pretend that like security threats aren't a thing, and we can just all sing kumbaya and get along, and it'll be peaceful, bro. Why do you want war? War bad. Like June here, war bad. As if war isn't inevitable. Pathetic. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. So no, YouTube should not have banned Devin. That, again, they're a private company. They can ban whoever they want. They can do whatever they want. But I'm telling you, man, there has to be a viable alternative now. Because if you think, oh, well, YouTube will be fine now. We just want to get rid of the Nazis and stuff, and then we can go to being a normal platform. No, you're wrong, because they're not going to stop with the Nazis. They're going to keep going and going and going. Devin's not like Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor. He's on the left, for example. They went for him. They're not going to go for the communists. They're not going to go for Caleb Maupin. They're not going to go after Vosh. These people who say outrageous things, they're not going to go after BreadTube. They're not going to go after the lefties. They're not going to, because the CEO of YouTube and her associates, they're far left. They have an agenda to push. They have a far left agenda to push. They're not going to go after Soviet apologists. They're not going to go after Cuba apologists. They're not going to go after North Korea apologists. Not going to go after Iran apologists. Not going to go after Hamas apologists. They're going to go after Israel supporters. They're going to go after America supporters. Oh, because America is controversial, man. Israel, they're controversial. They're basically like Hitler, right? Oh, Hamas? Oh, they're the good guys. They're anti-imperialists, bro. They just want peace, bro. Sure, they fired off all those rockets. Those were peaceful rockets, bro. Pathetic. Pathetic. John Doe says, are you open to having fans speak with you on stream? Well, you got to be vetted first. Got to be vetted first. Everybody's got to go through vetting. So you know where to find me. I'm on Twitter at Kevin Castley. You can send me a message there. You also shoot me a message to my YouTube email that I got on my channel. I don't check it every day, though, but I do from time to time. So I will respond in due course there. You can also, of course, reach me over on Twitch. I'm on Twitch as well at Superpower Broadcasting. So you know where to find me. We'll talk. We'll talk. So. Oh yeah, Natalie said that she deleted that comment because, okay, say how your cousin got cold feet about putting him on the spot. Okay, no, fair enough, fair enough. But if he ever does want to come on my channel, he's welcome to. I'm just putting that out here right now. It doesn't have to be now. It could be in a few years. I don't care. What you told me about, his story and everything and the consequences, the ramifications that happened because he came out as a hawk, I would love to talk with him any day. So no pressure or anything though, right? I know that it can be intimidating and all of that, right? So and most people would prefer to just live private lives, right? Because the internet, man, the internet is a sketchy place. So I get it. So Ariel Suarez says Devin had it coming since the day he broke ties with Reese. Well, see, this is the thing. It's not just about Devin, though. Now that those guys are gone, who's next? Now it's us. Like, Hawks are controversial. Those guys were more controversial. They're gone now. Like, it's a slippery slope. YouTube is eventually going to be just the Daily Show, CNN, MSNBC, and BreadTube. That's basically what it's going to be. It's just going to be all far left, either mainstream or independent far left stuff. It's basically it. It's going to be like the new television, except there will be independent content creation that they can hype up and say, hey, we have independent creators too. Yeah, they're all rabid left-wing Marxists, literally. Oh man, that's so sad. It's so sad. Like, again, if they did the ban wave and for every Nazi they banned like one of these radical communists, I would have a different stance. I'd be like, okay, well, at least they're just trying to weed out extremism. No, they're just trying to get rid of the right wing. It's disproportionate. It's disproportionate. And they're going to come for the Hawks next. Like, mark my words. Maybe not next. Maybe they'll go after another group and another group. But basically, it sets the precedent that anybody can be deemed too offensive to allow here. Amazing. So we need a viable alternative that actually respects free speech. Again, YouTube can do what they want. It's their business. But I'm just telling you, they're going to lose money as a result of this. Don't get me wrong. Like, they might still continue to make, record numbers and stuff. But they can't expect to stay a monopoly if they're just going to ban, more and more and more of a swath of the political spectrum. Those people will just go elsewhere. Well, eventually you'll get such a critical mass that's either chosen to leave or was forced off, like what happened to Devin, that nobody's going to be left here. Except for the people who are like really left, right? All that's going to be left is the far left. Well, you're going to lose money by that point. This isn't a long-term financial strategy on their part. This is just them trying to appear woke. So, and it might work out for them in the short run. But again, mark my words. This will not bode well for them being a monopolist into the future, like in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Just won't. They'll still be a thing. Like, even after an alternative challenger takes over, YouTube will still probably get, millions of views a day and stuff. But they'll never be like how they were in the 2010s. I'm just telling you, man. I'm just telling you, that's what happens. That's what happens when you ban everybody, basically. That's what happens, so. Yeah, YouTube CEO once, what was it? Yeah, she watched jank Francesca Ramsey on the YouTube logo. Oh man, she just wants YouTube Rewind to be a Black Lives Matter promo that gets 1 million likes. Oh, can you imagine the dislike ratio on that? Like, there was a story out a couple days ago, or it was probably closer to a week ago now. At least one of the founders of like the Black Lives Matter movement bragged about being a quote trained Marxist, end quote. Like, okay, but that sounds. I mean, it's one thing if you say, "Oh yeah, I'm an independently minded, free thinking Marxist." It's like, okay, that's cringy. Trained Marxist? Oh, now we're talking about like the Soviet Union here. Like, oh yeah, the Third International, we support all these parties abroad and give them the directives of the great leaders to carry out the will and parrot the talking points of the slogans of Marx and Engels and stuff. It's like a trained Marxist. That just sounds so goofy, man. That sounds so North Korean. Amazing. Amazing. John Doe says, what do you identify as politically? Well, I got it in my video, or not just my video description, but if you look at my channel about, I list in a bit more detail my politics. I have my intro video where I go over my politics. Right now, you know, it depends. It kind of depends on how many words I get to define myself. Because, like, this is my stream. I could talk for an hour to define myself right now, but that'd probably be pretty boring. However, and we got some news. We got some news for those of you who are still with us right now. We got 6 people right now. It's late. I posted it late. Busy day at work. Pretty tired. I was going to keep this a short stream. So I was like, yeah, we'll have a few people here. Close out pretty soon. But I will drop some news right now because we still have people watching. We got 1 on Twitch. Very cool. Got 5 on YouTube. By the way, if you want to help with this channel, watch on Twitch. They reward viewing metrics way better than YouTube does. Additionally, we got some news. So the first news is I'm going to be having 2 streams. Now they won't be back to back probably, but there will be 2 streams on this channel coming up shortly in the next few weeks. One of them will be an interview with a very smart and intellectual Trump supporter, not just like some hacky, hick or whatever that's like, oh yeah, Trump. I listened to Q and Q told me to vote for Trump and Q's with Jesus, bro. No, not like that. Like an actual very, very, very smart dude. And some of you might know him. Special guest. He's going to be on. And he's going to make the case for Donald Trump. And then we're also going to have a different guest, very smart dude, make the case for Joe Biden. So this channel, obviously, like I'm in Biden's court with a lot of hesitation, but Biden, it's net pro Biden. But we're not just going to talk to a bunch of Biden supporters. There will be a smart, very smart Trump supporter that's going to make some good arguments for Trump. I think it's important to see both sides here. So and I think that there's value in that because we're not going to bring on some guy who's just going to be like, oh yeah, Jews did the USS Liberty, so vote for Trump or whatever. No, like this guy supports Israel and stuff. So, and there is a good point to be made that, Trump even himself, he is, pro-Israel. A lot of the super racist people that like Trump do not like that fact about Trump. They don't like the fact that Trump has been pro-Israel, and he has been pro-Israel. Like, that's one of the few things that I do give Trump credit for. Now, I think he hasn't been tough enough on Iran and stuff, and that hurts Israeli interests and American interests and Western interests. But let's keep it real. Obama, I mean, he had a tense relationship with Israel. So yeah, those 2 streams will be coming up. But as far as what I was saying about my political views, though, because that's just about, that's kind of neutral. I'm going to be having a discussion here, hosting a discussion, where I'm going to have some critical talking points towards both guests, kind of challenge them a little bit on why they support Trump or Biden, give them some scenarios and stuff, see how they feel about it, and they'll make their case. And it'll be interesting to watch. But as far as me personally, if you are interested, pretty soon I will be doing a stream where I fill out the 9 Axes political quiz, which is, it's one of those political quizzes online. There are a lot of them, but this one it gauges you on 9 different metrics of your political perspective. And I like it. I've taken the quiz a couple times in the past because the thing is, the political spectrum, just say you're left or right, it's like it's super vague. It doesn't really tell you that much. This one incorporates, your view on secularity, your view on the military, your view on economics, and so on and so forth, social issues, etc. It's an interesting quiz. So I'm going to be going through, live streaming it. We're going to answer each question. I'm going to explain my reasoning for why I answer as I do for each question. So if you're interested, definitely stay tuned to the channel. Be sure to subscribe, of course, if you haven't done so yet. We're going to go back to take a look at the chat. So, oh yes, and then just to kind of briefly answer, to briefly answer this question here, what do you identify as politically? Again, there's a lot that needs explaining with this, but in as few labels as possible. I identify as a liberal neoconservative. So take from that what you will, I guess. John Doe says, I've continuously flirted with calling myself neoconservative. Do it. Do it. Take the neocon pill. Just do it. Don't care what others think of you. Oh, we got Nicholas here. He says, rate John Bolton from 1 to 10, Mr. Doe. Let's gauge your neocon level. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like John Bolton isn't even a neocon, but he's kind of like the poster child of everything that the people who call everybody neocons hate. And I love it. John Bolton, he's so base. We're going to bring up John Bolton on the screen right now. That's John Bolton right there. Very hawkish dude. John Doe says, I subbed to your channel a long time ago, and I just found your channel again in my subs. Well, thanks for coming here and being with us tonight. Kind of an odd stream. I usually stream a little bit earlier. I was in a Discord conversation with some interesting people earlier, and we got into some, controversial subjects and stuff. So it took a little bit of time. Ariel Suarez says it should be Biden without hesitation, Kevin. Well, see, that's the thing. I'll save it for the streams because the interview that I have with the Trump supporter, I'm going to be like, well, what about Biden here and there? And then with the Biden supporter, I'm going to be like, well, what about Trump here and there? Obviously, I'm on the net side for Biden, but like I said, there are aspects to Biden that, I mean, let's keep it real. He's not the Biden in the 1990s. You watch those clips of him being super hawkish and stuff. I haven't seen that rhetoric from him in a couple decades, but we can have a conversation about a public and a private position and all that. So it'll be interesting. Nicholas says, I hope the Trump supporter is ready for the barrage of questions he'll get from us. Oh yeah, and if you got questions beforehand too, like there will be a question and answer period. It'll be an interesting stream. I can already think of some questions, but there'll be a lot of questions, and we'll hold them for the Q&A period. I'll do more of an interview for probably the first hour or so of the stream, and then we'll get into the audience questions. So he says, we won't get personal, promise. Okay, see, this is the thing. He's not your stereotypical sort of Trump supporter or whatever. The guy's a very smart dude. So John Doe says, about John Bolton, I love his hawkishness, but I know very little about him otherwise. I am not up to date on current events, but if I were saying this 1 year ago, it would be 10. Oh man. Well, you may have taken the hawk pill. Might have just taken the hawk pill. Oh man. There we go. We got another hawk here tonight, everybody. He says, I hate when people use ad hominem against me. Oh yeah, for sure. So I don't really have much else planned for the stream tonight. But Jay just showed up here. Jay's here on Twitch. Big up, everyone. Big up, Jay. And, I know you're probably busy right now, Jay. But, just for fun, before I go off air, I will post the link to this over on Twitter if you did want to come on for a little bit, because I didn't have anything else planned for tonight. It was going to be a bit of a shorter stream, but we still have people here, even though it's really late. So if you're interested in coming on for a few minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, send the link either way. So Jay and I still have to do our disagreement stream. Yeah, he says, watch Kevin on Twitch. Absolutely. John Doe says, I own Neoconservatism by Irving Kristol. Oh, man, you know what's great? I actually ordered a physical copy of the Neoconservative Persuasion by Irving Kristol. And it took a couple weeks to arrive. It's here now. It arrived today. So it's good to have the physical copy of the book. You know, a bunch of essays and everything. Very, very interesting read for sure. So, and, you know, he did a few books, of course. So, and of course, Bill Kristol. If you guys haven't done so yet, you should subscribe to Conversations with Bill Kristol over on YouTube. He's got about 15,000 subscribers. One of the best channels on this entire platform. Like, if you spend an hour watching his show, that's worth more than watching 1,000 hours of Vosh or watching 1,000 hours of Kremlin Kyle. Those guys are vapid and not very well thought out. So, and a lot of hacky talking points. And people can say, oh, yeah, but you have talking points too, Kevin. It's like, yeah, everybody uses talking points, but there are gradations to the percentage that you use as talking points versus what, you know, is original kind of thought, right? So everybody uses cliches and stuff and borrowed phrases from others and talking points and stuff. But I'm going to be sending the link here to Hawk J. So here we are. See if he comes on. He's just said he's at the office, so he can't. So, but yeah, he says we need to sort that stream out. So basically, we are at some point in the near future going to have a stream where we go over all of our disagreements, and we're not going to have a debate or anything. We're just going to explain our reasoning for why we feel how we do, and without trying to like turn the other person over to our side, we're just going to kind of, you know, leave it there. And the audience can take away from it how two people who have pretty similar views on foreign policy feel about other areas. And foreign policy might come up too in certain aspects. So it'll be interesting to watch for sure. So again, be sure to stay tuned to this channel. John Doe says that was published after his death, right, by Bill. Yeah, so that's the thing is that, yeah, it's a compilation of essays from Irving Kristol from the 40s all the way up to, like, you know, right around the time of his death, essentially. So, but the physical copy of it is kind of rare. Like, that, you don't really see too many people have that book, The Neoconservative Persuasion. So, like, I've read some of the stuff from a long time ago, but I never got physical copies. And I figure, you know, if I'm going to be, you know, this channel out here that's one of the more prominent voices for neoconservatism in the era of cringe under Trump, I should probably have, like, you know, the physical copies, right? So got to help out authors, or in this case, right, like Bill Kristol would get a cut of that, right? The Kristol family. So, like, I bought John Bolton's book, bought the physical copy of that. Could I read it online for free? For sure. But, you know, I want to help him out. I want to help out a fellow Hawk. He's taken a lot of hate, huge hate for decades. But he doesn't care what anybody thinks of him because, you know, he's going to basically just do the right thing as he sees it. And he doesn't care if you're a dictator out there and you like to genocide little kids. He doesn't care that you don't like him. In fact, he prefers it. He's cold and bold. He doesn't have an ounce of warmth in his heart for the enemies of freedom. But we will wrap up this stream right now. But I will be here tomorrow. And I will have a longer stream as far as I have planned, of course, a longer stream tomorrow. So, and it will probably be a fair bit earlier in the evening. So thank you for being here, everybody. Obviously, this one was quite a bit later than the usual streams. So I appreciate you guys showing up. So yeah, we're at that point in the stream. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Definitely go click the link in the description and follow me over on Twitch so you can get up to 50 followers and get to affiliate status. And as well, if you would like to financially contribute to the viability of this channel, or to just, send me some, a tip of appreciation, you can check out my PayPal link in the description. You can also pledge to be a patron on a monthly basis over on patreon.com/superpowerbroadcasting. And every dollar matters. Once we get up to $100 a month, I will be rolling out daily pre-recorded videos premiering to YouTube in addition to these daily streams on YouTube and Twitch. So we're over halfway there. So just got to get to $100. So let's get going, hot gang. But thank you for being here. Big up to all the patrons we've already got. And I will see you tomorrow. So have a good night, everybody. Peace.